Did you think Christmas was just blinking lights, happy music, and relatives pretending they like each other? Yeah. Sit down. Because today you're about to discover that Christmas has a past much darker than any cheap horror movie. And no, this is not an exaggeration. What you're about to hear now doesn't get mentioned in church and definitely doesn't show up in holiday commercials. The Curious World presents Macabre Curiosities. No one ever told you about Christmas. Before turning into that friendly old man in red who sneaks into your house through the chimney, Santa Claus had a much darker side. In medieval Europe, he was often accompanied by a creature called Krampus. Half goat, half demon. 100% childhood trauma. While St. Nicholas rewarded well-behaved children, Krampus handled the dirty work. He terrified them, beat them, and according to several legends, dragged disobedient children away in chains never to be seen again. In other words, if you misbehaved, Christmas didn't come with presents. It came with lifelong trauma. And this was considered tradition. Now brace yourself. Christmas was once illegal. In the 17th century in England, the Puritans believed Christmas was a pagan, violent, and excessive celebration. The result? In 1647, the government simply canceled Christmas. Celebrating became a crime. Exchanging gifts could get you fined. Throwing a party could land you in prison. Imagine explaining that today. Why were you arrested? Because I celebrated Christmas. And if you think Christmas games were always cute and innocent, think again. In the Middle Ages, the famous snowball fights were basically social excuses for collective violence. What started with snowballs ended with frozen stones, sticks, and sometimes even knives. There are historical records of serious injuries and even deaths during these games. In other words, it was medieval UFC with Christmas decorations. Now let's talk about the Christmas tree. Today it looks harmless, but in the past, trees were believed to be portals between the world of the living and the world of the dead. That's why they were decorated with lights and shiny objects, not for decoration, but to ward off evil spirits. So when you turn on the lights on your Christmas tree, theoretically you're saying, "Spirits from beyond, please stay out." And to finish, a real and disturbing fact. Christmas is one of the times of year with an increase in family fights, depression, and violent crimes. The pressure for happiness, gifts, money, and the perfect family simply explodes. Not every Merry Christmas is sincere. So after hearing all this, before complaining about getting socks as a gift, remember this. At least you weren't kidnapped by a horned demon. Share this video with someone who thinks Christmas is just lights and love, and tell me in the comments, which of these stories shocked you the most? Merry Christmas, if you behave.